Hello, this is a video greeting for Simon over at Cracking the Cryptic. My name is Brian Johnson. You may know me better from Logic Masters Germany as Big Tiger. In fact, welcome to the Big Tiger Productions recording studio. It also functions as my washroom. Anyway, there's a long story behind Big Tiger. Don't worry about it right now, just call me Brian. I'm here today with a presentation that I debated exactly what to call it. I thought about a petition, but that almost makes it sound like I'm begging. I've settled on a pitch, almost like a business pitch or a project pitch, to see if I can persuade you to publicly solve Battlefield Sudoku number 1 on the Cracking the Cryptic YouTube channel. And I have some bullet points lined up here to see if I can make my case. Let's go ahead and run through them now. First, this appears to be a new type of Sudoku. I at least created it independent of any knowledge of anyone else having created the same. And I know from watching your YouTube channel that you enjoy tackling new puzzles. In fact, you did tackle 2 variations of it. I published mine in, I believe, mid-May, and 3 other people took a quick shining to it and created some of their own, and you've solved 2 of those. So I know that already that you've found it rather entertaining. And so on that basis alone, I would like to present Battlefield Sudoku number 1 for your reconsideration. Point number 2, it has proven to be reasonably popular on Logic Masters Germany. So this is not just a crazy idea I came up with that nobody likes. It is something that has gotten a reasonable response, as well as a 4-star rating and a high 90s percentage for interest level. It also came with several comments that were attached to the Phistomefel variation that you did solve on the public YouTube channel. Several people saying, I like this very much. A couple of people commented to me directly, I hope they do yours. And so on the basis of its popularity, I would like to present it to you for your consideration. This might be more like an addendum to point 2, but I'll make it a separate point. I'll make it point 3. It has caught the attention of some fairly notable names, including the one you solved by Phistomefel. Here's a man who has actually created puzzles for apparently large championships. And he saw my Battlefield Sudoku number 1, and he was intrigued, and he went off and created his own. So the fact that that some very talented and highly skilled puzzle setters have taken a notice in it, I think speaks reasonably highly for the Battlefield concept. My 4th point I have to be careful with, or I'll sound like some whiny, petulant child. But it is the idea that I would be interested in, how should I put it, having my turn. I noticed that even since putting on the Battlefield Sudoku by Seliger, you've had several people on for the first time. You've actually announced it on the channel. This is their first submission to us. And so, honestly, and again, without sounding like I'm trying to be pushy or jealous of the other people, I would be interested in my first time. Which brings us to point 5, almost kind of goes along with that. For most of my life, I've had a fairly middling interest in logic puzzles. Those grids where 5 people went shopping and you have to determine what they wore and what they bought and what time they went shopping based on a series of 12 clues or something like that. I also enjoy things like Slitherlink, and I've had what I would call a passing interest in Sudoku, the typical, what I understand now to be classic Sudoku, normal Sudoku, that would appear in our daily newspapers over here. Good for sitting down at a lunch break and just kind of giving your mind a diversion from the daily grind, but nothing that was particularly challenging, solvable in a matter of minutes. And certainly no more intricate than here's the grid and here are a preset series of numbers, figure out the rest. So for 45 years of my life, that's just kind of how I've carried on. I was aware of the diagonals, the large X Sudokus where the diagonals had to all be different, and also the variation of is it called Chaos Sudoku, where it can have irregular shapes and not the 3x3 boxes. And then also cages, or what I now know to be Killer Sudoku. So those 3 or 4 minor variations I was aware of. I had no idea until March, when YouTube randomly, out of nowhere, decided to recommend on my homepage a video that turned out to be you solving one with 4 digits in it, and I saw the headline and I thought, how can there be a Sudoku with just 4 digits? And that's when I discovered that there is a whole world of puzzles out there, Sudoku puzzles, that people are creating that involve such a wide variety, such a delightful variety of puzzles. I had no idea until March of this year about thermometers. the little killer arrows on the outside. What else has there been? The greater than and less than signs, the friendly neighbors, consecutives, and just so many things. I'm drawing a blank right now because my mind is just a whirl trying to land on one of the things that people have put into these puzzles. And then, the hybrids of taking galaxies and putting them into a Sudoku, and taking snakes and putting them into a Sudoku, and just all of this stuff. And so that just woke me up to how much fun there is beyond the ordinary, I've done it before, classic Sudoku. And so my mind started whirling and I started creating things. And because of hearing Logic Masters Germany on your channel so many times, I found it and I checked it out and I created a profile and started uploading some things. And the first few were, I find them entertaining, but they haven't caught on. I've created something called a virus Sudoku and a bounce house Sudoku. But it wasn't until the battlefield Sudoku that the larger Logic Masters user base started to notice and find interest in it. And so that's when I decided it was time to reach out to Cracking the Cryptic and seeing if they were interested. And then I discovered after sending my email that about a day or two later you had landed on Christoph Seeliger's, and a little bit of me died inside. But as I said before, I had fun watching it. And so all that to say, I'm an average person who really stumbled across this idea that turned out to be reasonably popular. And I never thought I'd say this, because I have some dreams in life. There are some things I would love to achieve before I die, and some fairly big and notable things. I have, big dreams, so to speak. To think that here in 2020, I would be saying this, a little bit surprising, but honestly, it would make my year if Battlefield Sudoku #1 showed up on Cracking the Cryptic. That would be, at least so far, it would be the high point. And I don't say that lightly. It's not as if to say, well, the rest of my year has been so dreary that if they, feature me on Cracking the Cryptic, it would be at least a notch up. No, it would be quite the treat. I'm not even looking for a lot of public attention. I'm not even looking for fame. It would be fun. It would be so fun to be a part of that. And again, in a small way, I have been. You actually mentioned me, Big Tiger, when you solved Christoph Seeliger's, and then you almost lamented not having solved one of mine when you solved Nylam's border skirmish. So apparently my time is up. Sorry about that, my watch just beeped. But so yes, it would be a lot of fun to have the original Battlefield, the one that started it all, to show up on your channel soon. And so I reach out to you in that way and see if any of that or all of it combined could talk you into putting that one on the roster and getting it into the I don't know what word I want, getting it into the mix. Let's just put it that way. And then point number 6, on an absolutely trivial note, just to see if I could do it, I've done the entire presentation in my best English accent. The truth is, I've never even set foot in the United Kingdom yet to this day, or any part of Her Majesty's Royal Empire. And so I'll switch back to American today to say, I hope you've enjoyed this presentation, and whether you decide to or not, hey, it's your YouTube channel, I'm having fun watching it, but I very much hope that Battlefield Sudoku #1 appears on Cracking the Cryptic someday. I'm Brian Johnson saying thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day.